What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of the On Purpose podcast, where it's our mission to get you moving, get you thinking, get you saying, man, am I getting the most out of my day today? And part of that is by challenging ourselves and not just falling into patterns that maybe others expect of us or society expects of us, but challenging those things, challenges the norms, challenging our own limiting beliefs and behaviors, and pushing ourselves. And this week, I'm super pumped to talk with Jamie Martin, a Montana-born ultra runner, full-time nurse practitioner. I would have read off actually what her fields are, but I probably wouldn't have pronounced them right. A wife, a mom who somehow manages to weave big goals into a very full life. She was the first, which can never be beaten. Remember that. She'll always be the first women's first place finisher at the Copper Kings 100 last year, which she doesn't even know. I actually watched her finish with my mom and my sister, which is not only impressive, right? 100 miles and winning it, but she was just 10 months postpartum, breastfeeding, nursing her baby girl, who was her crew chief. And she didn't show up. And this is one of my favorite parts of getting ready for this is she didn't show up to win. She showed up just grateful that was still an option in her life at that point, to be in the mountains with her family, cheering her on and pushing herself. So I can't wait to get into this conversation with our newest friend, Jamie Martin. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I didn't even tell you that, but I actually watched you finish last year.
I think I'm most impressed that I finished around like 2:30 a.m. So kudos to you and your mom for being out there.
Yeah. So it was, so interestingly, it was my mom's 70th birthday. So my sister came in from Boise and I came up. I don't even know where I was at that point, but we came up and we were celebrating her birthday that weekend. And Copper Kings just happened to be going on. So we went up and we watched, I think it was like 10 o'clock at night. The first male finishers came through. So we saw them and then we saw you. And then we came back about 10 o'clock in the morning to watch like a big wave of right around the 30 hours come through.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for being there.
Thank you for running so fast. When you think back on that and you're like, okay, I'm the first one in this race. Like I won the very first one. Like nobody will ever be the first winner again. What does that mean to you? Or like, do you ever ponder that?
I mean, I think it's just really cool. Like you said, Montana native, spent time in Butte. I actually met my brother, my husband now, a roundabout way. We met. Um, it's just a special place, so it's really cool.
All right. Well, I'm not even going to pretend that I could keep up with you on the trail, Jamie. I'm not even going to pretend that, but I am going to treat you properly like an athlete. Like we can't just get out there and start sprinting right away. We got to warm up a little bit. So same thing for the podcast. So I got some warm up questions for you, Jamie, just to get you going. Are you ready for these?
I think this is perhaps the most nervous question. I'm ready.
All right, here we go. If your life has a theme song, what would it be?
Questions. Uh, but it's like for a little more wild, just taking life as it comes. I think that's maybe a little bit of a theory I follow.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, what about you'd realize I switch these up all the time. So I appreciate you listening.
Yeah.
I did use them all the same for like a year and I was like, man, I personally need to hear some new questions. But I love them because it just helps me like one, like I can learn books from them or music or just understand people's thoughts a little bit. So what is your favorite quote or mantra that you use to get you to push through tough times?
Well, in the theory of talking about running, I think when it comes to like running long distances, something I often tell myself is forward progress is progress. So whether you're running, walking, hiking, crawling, moving forward is moving forward.
Yeah, I love it. All right, here's an old classical warm up question. If you had a superpower, what would it be and why?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think in theory, I would say, like, knowing what other people are thinking, but that
Mm.
could be really dangerous, so maybe that's not necessarily the superpower. I think being able to fly would be pretty cool.
Okay. Where would you want to fly to?
I think that would be the beauty, you can go anywhere.
Mm, that's true. You just fly all day. But you might not
Yeah.
get much done. You just be out flying around.
Yeah, I think, clearly we're outdoorsy people, we do this thing where we love being in the mountains, so another facet too of this wilderness would be amazing.
Mm. What about favorite book?
I would probably have to say, like, a Kristen Hannon book, The
Okay.
Women as a Nurse. I love that book. The Nightingale is a classic.
All right. And if you had to describe the season of your life you're in today with one word, what would your word be?
Chaos.
Oh man, it sounds. How old's your daughter? 2?
She'll be 2 in July.
Yeah, chaos is a good word. You're always picking up toys. Yeah,
Yeah,
y-
the clean house is no longer
you're in the midst of it, my friend.
beautiful chaos, but
And Jamie, I'm going to tell you, I know you're probably like, okay, quit. I don't need to hear that ever again, but I'm going to tell you, it is a truth. It goes fast.
yeah,
I
years
have, I mean, I have 3 kids, and like, I don't know that I'd go back to them being 2. 2 was pretty cool, but if I could pick a window, I'd go back from like 8 to 12 was just like magnificent because they were still your friends. They were independent. They could wipe their own butts. Like all the important things were handled. And you just had like little buddies that could go everywhere with you.
I think my husband is very excited for that stage,
Ah,
playing sports, um, all of that good stuff.
yeah, no, I love it. Are you warmed up, Jamie? I feel like we're warmed up.
I feel warmed up.
I love it. All right, talk to me about let's just start with the race. So let's start with the very first Copper King. When did you decide to enter it, and what like were your goals for yourself having just had your daughter?
Yeah, I think that actually probably goes back a few years, so, I mean, can't talk about Copper Kings without
That would
mentioning
go.
Wes Slate,
Yeah.
um, amazing guy. So I met Wes, gosh, probably like 3 or 4 years ago, actually volunteering at a different and we worked at the same aid station. I think the aid was at, like, close to 80, so we spent a lot of time, a lot of night hours. I think we gosh, there's another 100 in Montana, like, we gotta do it. And then we kind of know the race director. So it was kind of in the back of my mind, I think the year before, so Wes did, like, a fat ass version, and I believe he reached out to us on social media saying, like, "If you guys wanna join, great." It didn't work out for our timing, so we didn't end up going. But then we saw this posted, and it was kind of like this competition. My husband and I have historically done the same race, and, like, now we have a baby, we probably carry the same 100. It's like, who's gonna get to do Converse? Um, I was freshly postpartum, so I won.
Yeah, yeah, that's a
My
smart
husband
move.
Yes, my husband graciously said, "You get first dibs."
Yeah.
So I think the race went live in December, like, to sign up. So, gosh, our kiddo was, like, 4 months old. I was like, "We're going for it."
Mm. Well, what let me ask, so I know a lot of times people will battle with like a little bit of guilt after they have a baby if they're not like fully there all the time. Did that ever come up to you, like feeling guilty that you're off training instead of being at home, and how'd you deal with that?
Definitely. I think part of I'm really lucky I work a 4-day work week. So kiddo goes to daycare 4 days and I have her 1 day, so we get a whole day that's just her nighttime.
Mm,
And then obviously weekends. I think truthfully there was a lot of really early mornings. So Saturday runs at 4 AM to try to be back before breakfast or nap time. Um, I think I've always been a little bit able to compartmentalize that in order for me to show up in my best version, I also have to do things that fill my cup, and definitely running and training is that for me. So I think just recognizing I'm gonna be a better mom, I'm
mm.
gonna be a better person. I can show up in a better way if I prioritize myself as well.
Yeah, that's super important for sure. And I think a lot of times it's easier said than done, right? Because by the time you get to your time, it's easy to put it last. So you're exhausted. It's easy to just say, I'm gonna go to bed early. I'm gonna just sit for a minute. So did you create a specific structure to make sure you were getting that time for you? Or how did you work that?
Yeah, I think like I mentioned before, my husband is also an ultra runner,
Mm,
so he can, appreciate the training schedule and kind of I can show up and be supportive. And so we would, sort of rotate long. We would have kiddo Saturday morning, and then he would go out for a long run Sunday, and I would have in the morning. So I think having a supportive spouse was extremely helpful.
yeah. No, that's good, especially if one that understands, like, the rhythms of what you gotta go through to prepare.
Yeah, and being able to I think so Copper Kings was in June, and he did 100 the end of August. So we were able to kind of, like, split up our training. So when I didn't have training, he was just getting ramped up. And then after Copper Kings, we kind of got to prioritize those long weekend days, um, and be able to make sure he got that training too.
Yeah. Did you did you notice any differences in, like how do I wanna say that? Like, how you trained and the appreciation you had training when before your daughter versus after you had her? Was there, like, a different, like, I don't say gratitude because I think we use that a lot, but just an appreciation for the ability you had?
Yeah. I think being able to be outside, I just was so much more present and appreciative of that time. I think when we're not on time restraints, maybe we're less the time we're getting outside. And so having limited time, I felt so present when I was out there.
Mm.
And same with the race days recently.
Yeah.
Like, just felt so grateful to get to be out there and move my body. Know my kiddo was taken care of and to focus on me for 24 hours.
What was your initial goal when you stepped to the starting line for that race?
I think when I signed up for the race, just not really knowing what the postpartum journey would look like, my goal was definitely just to get to the finish line.
Uh-huh.
And truly that's my goal. I had previously ridden or not ridden, run 23.5 hour 100 right before I so I think once training was going well, I was feeling well, postpartum, like, "Okay, I would like to go under 20 or around 24." It felt comfortable.
Yep.
Um, but that was kind of like best
Yeah. So would you say, like, did the race go, like, as good as you thought it would go or better?
way better.
Really?
I think there's just some days we're out there and everything's sick and you have a great day, and that was definitely Copper Kings for me.
What was your favorite part of was there a moment that stands out to you when you think back, like, "This was the moment that I remember, like, man, I'm able to do all this."
Yeah, like I said, I think I was really grateful the entire race, truthfully. I actually more so struggled in the first half of the race, just really, like, fatigued and run down and feels like I had my legs. And then when I got up to our lead, I smacked a Rice Krispie treat and just fell in it. And that
Yeah.
was my moment. I met this really cool guy at the aid station who, was from Canada, and he was like, "Your personality." And we left the aid station together and just we're having fun, great conversation, and that was the moment that you're just gonna cruise the rest of it. We got this.
And that, Jamie, you hit on something there that I think one is what attracted me to trail running to begin with. Well, two things. First, the fact I could exercise and snack at the same time and is rewarded is number one.
Yes.
And then two, just the people you meet out there because you're going to be out there for a long time. So you get to talk to somebody without all the distractions of meeting in a town or a city or everybody's hustling with their next schedule. So I guess what does that mean to you? Like when you're out there, and you're like, wait, this person's actually listening and engaging. What do you get from that?
See, we work at the same hospital, so that was kind of crazy. So we spent a lot of the first part of the race together and we stayed in contact. And then the second half of the race, I was feeling really good, and so I actually came across a lot of people who were struggling, and, would get to run with them for 1 or 2 miles and just kind of commiserate a little bit, like
Yeah.
everyone's struggling in that latter part, but it's also motivating to see someone, push through hard times and then also be able to motivate others and as well. So I would say that's the best part of any ultra is the people you meet, the connections you meet. I've met, reached out to a handful of people after the race and we've stayed in touch on social media, and it just really is a special bond that I don't think you can experience anywhere else.
Yeah, I will tell you the only place I've experienced it, and I'm new to ultra running. Like I don't profess to be good at it by any means. In the world of mixed martial arts, believe it or not, people that are actively like fighting and not the competition piece is different because it is one on one, and one of you is going to win and one of you is going to lose, and there's no doubt about it. Whereas in trail running, like I don't like I'm not competing with you. It's just me and the trail, and we just happen to share the time together. But I think what that commonality is like you're doing something really hard to find out something about yourself. So there's a respect, right? Like I don't look at you and see a negative lens or whatever's going on in the world today. I'm like, man, like she's pushing herself. That's automatic respect. She's here. And if I could take something from trail running and just apply it to the general populace, it would be just that when we cross paths with people, we wouldn't look for our differences. We wouldn't look for why I shouldn't like them. We wouldn't look for why I disagree. We look for, I respect this journey they're on because I'm on it too.
Yeah. I had a lot of, like, gratitude the second half of the race, like, I was typically passing people and, like, people were so positive, and I think that's the beauty of this ultra, and I've been on the other end too, where someone comes up, you have 20 miles to go and cruises past you, and you can't help but feel proud of that person or happy for that person. So, yeah, it's not about the time, it's not about the place, like, you just feel happy that someone else is having a day out there.
Yeah, it's just such a beautiful thing, right? Like your success doesn't take anything away from me. There's enough success for all of us. And yeah, no, that's so beautiful. And it's so awesome that you're aware of that, right? And that you're not like looking at your watch to see if you're on time for pace and what are your splits. Like there's another human right here with you, and maybe I can just give you a word of encouragement that let you finish, which was all their goal was to begin with.
Definitely.
So, what have you ever had a time on the trail that stood out to you as being like I don't say life change because I think that's too dramatic, but like maybe you were in that dark place and you were like, I'm just getting to the next aid station and done. Like I can't do this anymore. I have all these doubts, and somebody you didn't know comes by and says something to you or spends some time with you. Do you have a moment like that comes to mind on that?
I don't know if I have any of those moments of like being in like this really dark low, truthfully, and like someone else breaking me out of it. I will say that I've ran spaces and we're having like this nice conversation with someone, and then they disclose like something crazy. Um, so like example I can think of, I was running 100K um over in Idaho and I'm with this gentleman and we were having a nice chat and we ran for a while together. I think I mentioned I was a nurse or something and he asked me where I worked in. I said I worked in oncology. Oh man, I'm like 6 months out of my chemo treatment for lymphoma. Just like mind blown. Just sharing miles with this like super inspirational person that felt comfortable sharing that with me. And it's his first race back. Just so cool to experience that with someone.
Yeah.
So I think there's been a lot of moments where I've been really inspired with what people tell you on the trail, and like, I would have no idea where you're coming from or what you've been through, and now we're sharing this together.
Yeah, it's amazing when we have time and space for other people, what we can actually learn about them if we weren't in such a rush all the time.
Yeah, and again, I think I work in a field that I can be grateful in that I can
Yeah.
get to know a lot of people, and I get to be present for a lot of people with really hard times. So I think there comes a little bit of like insight from my professional world, but I think in the general population or when we're just out in the we don't take time to appreciate where other people are coming.
Yeah, no, that's the truth. I want to ask you this because this is something I've struggled with, and I would love to get your insights on this. How do you navigate the tension that exists between being ambitious, right, wanting to be driven, wanting to be the best at what I'm doing, and still being present for where I am, not always looking for that improvement piece?
I think that's hard, truthfully, and we can say, like, we're there for people and interaction and the time in the mountains, and all of those can be very true, but you still there has to be a component of being competitive to complete something like this.
Yep.
Um, you don't go out and run 100 miles. I think you want to, but you have to be driven. I think you have to be a little bit competitive, not necessarily with other people, but at least competitive with yourself. I would say that truthfully, Copper Kings was, like, one of the greatest days, like, everything lined up for me, and in the weeks following the race, I still was like, "Hmm, I could have done that better, or I should have done this. Maybe I could have saved off some time." So, yeah, it's hard to not always be wanting more, more, more.
Yeah. What about in life outside of racing, right? 'Cause as a fairly new parent, you get to be pulled in a lot of directions, but like we were talking about earlier, still putting ourselves, like making sure we take care of ourselves. How have you been navigating that tension there? And like, what do you, if somebody else, maybe a new mom or a new dad's listening to this and like, man, I haven't been putting myself forward, or I used to do these things, I haven't now. What would you say to them that's worked for you that maybe they could try?
I think trying to block out the outside judgments, truthfully, like, to me, what's best for my family, what's best for me, what's best for my spouse, that has to be enough. There's always gonna be things out there for other people. I certainly heard whispers during my last pregnancy, postpartum of, like, "She's running too much. This is unhealthy." And I hear that, and I can also listen to what's right for me and what's right for my family. So I think anyone who's feeling like they aren't able to prioritize themselves or if the outside world is, you know, mitigating that, just try to block it out. I think if people are gonna have opinions, that's okay. We can appreciate those, what feels best for us.
Yeah, that's well said. You can appreciate it, but you don't have to give it weight, right? I don't. Like,
Yeah,
I appreciate you care enough about me to have your opinions about me, but I don't. It doesn't have to weigh on me like in your case, like your husband's opinion does, right? Because that's super important, right? Like we're in this together. What there was something you said that was another question that I had, and I just got to gotta think it through. But I really like that. Yeah, like appreciate it, but you don't have to give it a ton of weight. What about the importance of having people around you that you do value their opinions, right? And I guess that's what I'm going as like that circle, making sure we manage the circle of people whose opinions do carry weight to us.
definitely. I think, I'm historically been someone who I'm a pretty private person. It's crazy because 'cause I'm on a podcast right now. Typically pretty private. I like a small circle. Mm, we have to still have a circle, whether you're someone who thrives in an environment with a lot of friends or a lot of family, or you just have your very small circle, it does take a village, as they say. So, there's certainly people in my life that I 100% value their opinion. I know they're gonna, shoot it to me straight.
Yeah.
And so we can put our weight in the people that we've built that rapport with versus perhaps someone who is looking in and, maybe doesn't know the story either.
Yeah, that's a thing, right? Like making judgments if we don't know the whole story and not just of people doing it to us, but are we doing it to others, right? Like what are we doing? Like are we being who we're trying to attract in our world? Yeah, that's good. What Jamie, when you think of your story so far, right? Is there part of it that when you say it, like, man, that's hard to believe I actually accomplished this, or it's hard to believe like this is actually my journey.
Yeah, we can
Right, right.
um, had a baby in July, then, coming back less than 10 months later, I think I'm just sometimes trying to take a step back and be like, "How did you do all of those things?" Like, you started working a full-time job. I think in the moment, you just roll with it, but there's definitely moments that I look back, "What?
Mm.
How do we do all of those things?"
Yeah, dude, that's amazing. That's an amazing period of time for sure. And when, yeah, I don't even know what to say on that other than like good for you, right? Like, good for you for living it and not waiting for something to be perfect right there. I think that's one of the traps that's so easy to fall into is be like, oh, I want to do this or I want to do that, whatever it is. Like, it doesn't have to be running, right? But I'm going to wait until 6 months from now or a year from now because then I'll have more money in the bank or I'll have a new promotion or I'll have this. And then next thing you know, you're at the end of your life. And you're like, gosh, I never got to it.
Yeah, I think there's always something that's we can say, like, "Well, I can't do this because of this."
Mm.
Um, but we can. We just make time somehow and make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. What about this, Jamie? This is something that I was super intrigued by because your daughter crew chiefed, even though she didn't know she did. What do you hope she gets from seeing her mom do stuff like this?
I mean, I think there'll always be, like, a little bit of, like, woman empowerment, right?
For sure.
Like, we can do hard things, men can do hard things too, but we gotta represent for the women. So, I think just her always knowing, like, she can do hard things, and whether that's running, whether that's sports, whether that's a profession, like, we can do it all. We don't have to give up one thing to do another. My husband will often say, like, we have a certain amount of water for those buckets, and we
Mm.
might have to take a little bit from one bucket fill our other bucket, and that doesn't mean we have to get rid of the bucket, right? Like, we can still do all of these things we love, and there's times in life where we're gonna have to pour more into one thing than the other, but we still get to do them all.
Yeah, no, and I, as a father of 2 daughters, I'm 100% with you. Like, that was one of the things, that my wife and I tried to instill in our girls was like, "You are capable of whatever it is you choose," right? And when I think of that and hearing your story now, it takes me to Cocodona from last week and watching Rachel Entreckin,
Big Cocodona fan. I can,
right? You get a whole week of live streaming. It's like one of the
oh,
best weeks ever.
so great. Very little work done, don't worry, but the live stream was rolling.
No, and they've done such a good job with that, and, like, my wife is getting annoyed 'cause she's like, "Do you still have that on? Like, have you done anything but live stream?" I'm like, "Well, I'm kinda working, but I'm doing both."
Like, how long have they been running? Days.
And the fact she went, and I don't know if you listened to many of her interviews since then, but it was, there was one, I forget what podcast she was on, but she was talking about where her and, String Bean were, like, the 2 leaders, and he was starting to slow down, and she was still going because she felt good, but she started having these doubts of, like, "Am I making a mistake? Should I be doing what he's doing? He's the high level pro that everybody thought was gonna win it. Who am I to pass him?" And I just love that, right? Because, like, she had an option to believe in herself or to kind of fall back to what everybody else was doing, and she went. And now look, like, smashing a course record, beat all the guys in the field, like, that's what you're doing, right? Like, on a different scale, you're out doing things that your daughter's like, "Okay, my bar is way up here because my dad showed me that's the bar."
Yeah, I mean, Rachel was that was just crazy to watch. I mean, Courtney Dauwalter has done the same in the past too, a woman winning up. So, why does that have to be someone? But yeah, to a different level, obviously. There was definitely times and opportunities I didn't necessarily know I was really woman until Our Lady, which is around, like, about 50-ish, and then the, age people up there were like, "You're the first woman," and I was like, "Oh, I wanna know that." But, I got to, like, mile 35, and I was like, "I think I went out too hard, like, this is gonna end bad," and then it just the wheels didn't fall. So I'm not saying, like, go out really hard and it's always gonna work out. But I listened to an interview with Rachel after the race, and, she kind of flipped that mindset of instead of being like, "When are the wheels gonna fall off?" What if the wheels don't fall off?
Right.
Like, maybe nothing bad does happen. Maybe I can just cruise at this pace and it's okay, and I think that applies to more than just running, right? Like, that applies to life. Like, put yourself out there. Go for the, career, go for the promotion. Like, maybe it doesn't work out, but maybe it does.
Right. No, I'm so 100% with you, right? Like, oh my God, what if this happens? What if that happens? Okay, what if they don't happen? What if you're wildly
Yeah.
successful? What if you're actually the best you're literally stepping and being the best you've ever been? What if that happens? Right? Like, why, you know what I mean? And I'm kind of with you in life. Like, we do a lot of things. Like, we'll jump when other people are like, I don't know, that doesn't seem like a good idea. We're like, I don't know, we're gonna find out because we're already halfway there because stuff usually works out. Right? It doesn't mean you win all the time, but it's usually gonna work out because if you're in the process, even if you come up short, you will have learned something about it to apply the next time. Or maybe you're like, oh, that really isn't for me. Let me go over here and try this. And it's funny you mentioned that because I just recorded an episode. I think it'll air like right before yours. It's talking about be careful what we say to ourselves because it might come true.
Yeah. I think positive thinking is a huge part of ultra running. If you're gonna doubt yourself, you're gonna have issues. If you believe in yourself, then you got it.
But isn't that life, Jamie?
Absolutely.
Right? And maybe that's why we're attracted to ultrarunning because it's literally like life in a 24-hour format for a 100 miler.
Yeah.
Well, for
I also
you, not
appreciated that
24 hours for me, 24 hours for you.
I appreciated that, you know, Rachel also didn't sugarcoat it and just say, like, 250 miles versus the whole time. I think we can also be humble to say, "Okay, maybe things are starting to fall apart, but I know how to handle this."
Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of it goes into preparation to say, "Well, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if it does, what are we gonna do about it and how."
For sure, right? Like we don't have to having grander belief in yourself, having a great idea of what you're capable of doesn't mean that you're not prepared for things to go wrong. They're
Exactly.
not mutually exclusive, right? Like I can believe in myself. I can know like I'm gonna go out and do this. But like I just told you off air today, I went out and ran a 6 mile run in this training, which should be super easy. It's a rest day. And it was like literally the hardest run I've done in months. It just felt terrible. But to your point, you were like, well, that sounds like good training. I'm like, you're right. Because there's going to be at least a 6 mile stretch in June that probably feels terrible.
I suspect
You
that's
suspect.
what it. I suspect for all of us.
Yeah. Now that's so good. Let me ask you this, Jamie. What has been the biggest thing you learned about yourself in the current chapter of life you're in?
Um, I would say, like, in part, like, in general, we're capable of more than we think. Like, we can juggle a lot. Well, and, um, I think I've tried to embrace that a little bit of not necessarily saying no to things you said
Mm,
because it's not the right time. Like, we'll make the time for it. So I would say that is part of it. I think something that taken away from running is just, like, being consistent in life, you know, that comes from being consistent with your training plan, with your, training and things like that, but also just trying to be consistent throughout your life.
mm.
So show up for people in the same way, show up for your kids in the same way, try to be present in the same way. I think just trying to be more consistent,
Yep.
has been something that I've been trying this busy chapter of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a good point there, being consistent how you show up for yourself, for others, right? Because like realistically, most people can't just show up and run a 100 miler. Like I definitely couldn't just do it, but it's
Yeah,
possible if I do the training for the 3 months up to the 100 miles.
right.
Yeah, and
I think I tell a lot of people, like, I don't actually think I'm that good of a runner. I'm not that fast of a runner, but I do value I think it's very consistent. So Copper Kings to me, the win for me was I ran the race really consistent. I did have a lot of highs, I did have a lot of lows. It was pretty even keeled the whole time, and so I think that just shows, like, being consistent at training, showing up yet today, year after year, like, that pays off.
mm,
You don't have to go out and do a hard run every weekend where you're doing 50 miles and, gassing yourself.
yeah,
But time over attention, um, builds a base.
yeah. No, that's super important. What is the role? What role is being from Montana played in kind of shaping who you are?
Oh, very proud to be from Montana. Yeah. I've left a handful of times. I left for college for a few years, and then when my husband and I first got together, we left for a few years and just can't stay away from Montana. It's so lovely. But yeah, like I said, I grew up, actually dirt biking in Butte on, like, very similar trails that we run on, so the Pipestone area.
Yep.
Um, I my husband and I actually went together in Missoula, but we didn't know, and then we re-met at a golf tournament in Butte called Mullet Fest, which just tells you all you need to know about Butte.
Yeah.
Um, but, it just has it's a special place, and it was really cool to get to appreciate the terrain. I think a lot of people think of Butte like the mines, and it's maybe not the most aesthetically pleasing from like
Yeah.
the highway, but there's a lot of really cool parts of Butte, and just getting to appreciate that culture. And um, the West Plate was funny. I actually ended up running the finish line last year, which I think is changed it now, but you run down the main bar,
Yeah.
which happened to be like bar let out. And so West Plate was like, on talking to my husband, whose name is also Wes, which is why it's a little confusing, but he's like, "Wes, you need to call Jamie. Like, is she gonna be okay?" And I think my husband's response was, "She's a mechanic girl. She'll be okay."
Yeah.
But yeah, so we kinda hang out at the bar locals. My sister-in-law was with me at the time, and there's people out with, like, boom boxes. It was great. We didn't feel threatened at all. We were just enjoying the party.
That's funny. Yeah, I saw he did change it so we avoid the bar district and then the farmers market if you're later on Saturday morning.
Yeah. Which, like I said, it was fine. You really don't care about much. I'm on 98.
That's funny. Yeah, you're a Montana girl. You could stop, have a beer with 'em. They throw
Yeah.
some darts or
I've been a
something.
few races. That someone it was really early on in the race, like mile 20, and I can't remember where the gentleman was from, but it's like he had overheard that I was from Montana. He's like, "Is there grizzly bears up here? Should I have bear spray? Do you have bear spray?" This was really kind of endearing that I don't have bear spray. Maybe we should, but, like, again, we just feel like, "Ah."
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Jamie, what do you hope listeners take away from this conversation? If there's something you could give them, what would you hope they take away?
I think I've always not always, but, since Copper Kings, I really hope to inspire women. Like, it's really hard being a woman and trying to balance, like, a career, running a family, having crazy hobbies like ultra running. And so I would hope this inspire people to like, you can do it all. Maybe
Mm.
if you're gonna do everything 100%, but don't give up on things that you love, um, in order to do something else. So to any, young woman out there that's debating, like, "Do I start a family? Do I continue training?" Obviously choose what's right for you, but also know that those things aren't exclusive. You can start a family and you can still maintain and do the things you love.
Yeah. No, that's such good advice. Jamie, where can our audience follow you? I know I think I see you on Instagram a little bit.
Yes, I am on Instagram. I don't actually even know if I know my Instagram handle. I think it's Amy Joe.
We'll put it in the link if that's who you want. So that with Jamie Joe or something like that. I was just looking
Yeah,
at it earlier to get ready for this. Well, so is it that what you would like people if they want to ask questions or connect with you, follow you on Instagram?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll throw that in the show notes for everybody out there. Jamie, it's been awesome getting to talk with you. I'm excited to hopefully meet you at Copper Kings this year if you're down in Butte. And yeah, I wish you the best and keep filling your plate full of stuff. Life's short. You never know.
Yeah, very excited for you and your son,
Yeah. Yeah.
on your
He's,
first 100-mile adventure.
yeah. Worst comes to worst. We get a day and a half together out in the woods. Maybe
That'd be
longer if we
great.
get lost.
I think you'll get lost. It's a pretty well, marked trail.
Well, that's what I like to hear, Jamie. Positive reinforcement. Thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you on the show, and we can't wait to follow along in your journey.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.